Look at her.
Need it right now.
Search it.
Oh, let me find it.
So swell, quiet, not a chance. Turn this love into a dance.
In a new series of Audi Flying Lap, we'll be taking the all-new RS5 on some of the world's most iconic circuits. On track, we break down how the Audi R26 takes each corner, from braking power to precision racing lines. Take a closer look at the thinking, expertise, and engineering behind every lap.
To stay this calm takes real heart. Who can hold their nerve?
Golf is the worst four-letter word in the world.
When it matters most.
You know, really try to keep myself in my own little bubble.
The PGA Championship, live on Sky Sports.
This doesn't look particularly good for Nico Hülkenberg. First smoke out the back of his Audi, and then flames as well, which looks terminal. There we go, there's the flame. And he had to pull over. And it looks like that could be the end of the sprint before it started for Nico Hülkenberg. We'll update you on that in a few moments' time, but he's out the car quickly. He's okay. In case you missed anything, yesterday's Alan McNish, well, we just talked to him, but first thing for him to respond to on the pit wall. Yeah, that looks like it's over for him. In case you missed it yesterday, let's just show you what happened in sprint qualifying.
Well, we're back, everyone, and we've reached Miami. And as a special treat for you all, not one but two races this weekend. We're ready for sprint qualifying. We got a green light. Cue the stampede. This is Lance Stroll. Oh, and that massive lock-up. Lando Norris is on his way to the line, and this should be the fastest time of the lot, and is.
That's a big statement from Lando Norris.
Aston Martin, two slowest cars again. Great judgment by Max Verstappen.
It was tight, wasn't it?
Yeah. The Ferrari is flying as Leclerc goes fastest. Piastri goes second fastest. Just mere hundredths behind. Game on. Ollie Behrman will start 13th behind Nico Hülkenberg, behind Gabriel Bortoleto. They're queuing up for pole here, but Mercedes, who've got the 1-2 on the grid at every single opportunity this year, don't seem to want to join the queue. Lando Norris will be next to cross the line. Is it provisional pole for him? Yes, it is.
Drives for the line. Can he do it?
Well, let's see. Checker flag is out. It's front row for Kimi Antonelli, so Mercedes stay on the front row. Up for the first time in 2026. It's a non-Mercedes works team that's grabbed pole, and it is Lando Norris.
Well done, team. Car's night and day better, so you deserve this. Nice to reward you straight away with something. Thanks for the hard work.
So here's how they line up then. Lando Norris, the first driver to beat a Mercedes in any qualifying session this year. His fifth sprint pole, more than anybody other than Max Verstappen. Kimi Antonelli.
Just a cluster going into that corner.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, did you ever race in these temperatures when you did your racing?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Daytona in the summer, we were racing there. It was very hot. And some of the races in Europe, Spa, you know, at Le Mans, certain years were really very warm. And that's the biggest issue is the recovery after you get out of the car. These guys are pretty fit, but they haven't been racing. This will help tune them up a little bit. Will it drain them for tomorrow? I don't know. I mean, these guys are at top level, but we'll see. It doesn't help.
Great, thank you so much for stopping by. Jensen, we need him every week. Love it.
I mean, he's going to steal our job.
He is, he's fantastic.
Really good.
I wanted to talk to you about the cooling issues because we see the trainers, the physios, they do everything they can. They put the umbrella up, they give you the ice vest. We can see Oscar over there at the moment with a jacket on, is it? Or is that his ice vest? Under,
yeah, it's an ice vest.
It's an ice vest under, it's got a big collar under the umbrella over there as they try and shade. How difficult is it mentally to keep your focus when it's this hot, or is that an easy switch?
Well, it's hot, plus look how busy it is everywhere. He is being shaded a little bit by everyone on the grid, but he's still got all the fans here. So there's you can't get away from it. You know what I mean? There's so much action, so much adrenaline, and with the heat as well, it can be quite overpowering. But they've done this before. It's not their first time, but this heat is an issue. It's a short race, obviously the sprint race, but still, it takes its toll on the body.
Okay, let's have a look and see who else we can see down here on the grid. Of course, Oscar starting from P3, couldn't quite match Lando yesterday, but it is the second consecutive, it's the first time both McLarens have been in the top three so far this season, breaking that Mercedes stranglehold. What about Max? He was chipper yesterday.
Yeah,
he said first sector not so much, but actually he seemed pretty happy.
It does look like they run less downforce. You know, in a straight line, the last couple of sectors they were really strong, but sector one was their Achilles heel. But you know, we're going to be overtaking in those last two sectors, not the first one so much. So be interested to see how he is today. But great to see the positive energy from Max, and the tweaks that we've had with the regulations, I think, has helped that a lot.
Now, Lewis didn't really understand why he was so far off Charles yesterday, didn't really feel much benefit yet in the Ferrari, but as you say, so good off the line. When you look at this right now, it's 190 metres down to turn one here. What can he do from here if he does get that really fast start?
Well, the thing is, it is such a short run to turn one, but their starts have been amazing this year. But he's been able to get the advantage and get into the lead, whereas here it's going to be trickier. I think we're going to see like 3 wide into turn one here. A lot of action, but you got to get through that first corner. And with racing drivers all wanting to get that first place into turn one, it's going to be action-packed.
And they've got the cover over the cockpit now, just trying to keep it as cool as possible for him before he gets into the car.
Well, it's for drivers to keep the drivers cool, but also there's a lot of electrical boxes which they need to keep cool as well. You know, it's tough on drivers, but it's also tough on the whole car.
Over to the right there, Isaac Hadjar against the wall there, also being shaded by his trainer right now. And the team doing the last-minute preparations around the car here, they're all connected up to these massive trolleys that come out. It is a garage on the grid.
It is, and it's also a really hot garage on the grid. So, yeah, these guys have a fair play to these guys in race suits, sweating, building a racing car and getting it ready for the race. So, fair play to everyone involved in F1 today. It is hot.
Right, well, it's only the sprint. I mean, at least it's not the full Grand Prix this afternoon. It's less time. Let's make our way back up to the front. We can see up there Max standing by his car right now, getting ready to get in. Right, and on the right-hand side here, we've got the Mercedes. George wasn't happy. George didn't get on it yesterday like he wanted to.
Yeah, I think George has had a tricky weekend. He did last year here, but now at least he's got the sprint to really get in a rhythm and get a good feel for the car and the racetrack before qualifying, the real qualifying happens. So he will be competitive, I think, once qualifying comes.
Well, in front of him, of course, Kimi Antonelli, front row for the sprint for the second consecutive year, hoping his starts will be better. He told me on Thursday that actually they've found what the problem is, but it's going to take a bit longer than just an automatic solution.
But yeah, pressure on his shoulders, I would say at this start.
Lando Norris then starting in front right now. First phase of those McLaren developments look to be going well, but Simon, we're about to find out whether or not they work out in the race.
We are indeed. First time we're going to see wheel-to-wheel races since the changes in regulations. Lando looking incredibly relaxed. Less than 10 minutes to go then to the start of the Miami Sprint 2026. Don't go anywhere.
Just keep watching.
Audi sponsors Formula One on Sky Sports.
Josh is struggling to pay rent in Oz, and we need to send him some money. But the bank says it could take days.
Days? Well, what if that's too long?
Wait, why aren't you using Wise?
A smart current account from Wise gets your money around the world in as little as 20 seconds. Be smart. Get Wise.
Hello, iDebt. Play my music.
The new Volkswagen T-Roc.
Hot grilled cheese is packed. Stretch it, squish it, feel it. It's cheese and you can peel it. Make anything in my head. Watch it, I'm conducting a band. Fun on longer the mic in my hand. And it brings the fun. Try catch me when I start to run. It's wavy, check the hair. That's how we do this here. Phenom-nom-nom. Phenom-nom-nom. For everyone.
Just keep watching.
Crowd in fine voice already here in Miami, talking you through the action today. We've got Ted Kravitz in the pit lane. We've got Karun Chandok in race control, and up in the commentary box, David Croft and Martin Brundle. We're just about ready for the Miami Sprint.
Head down, let's focus.
Come on, man.
Oh, come on, you do it again. Come on!
Oh, yeah! What a pass!
No way. Good hit. Nice to be back up here.
Good game, boss man. Good game, bro. Welcome along, everyone, from 347 Don Shula Drive. It's the Hard Rock Stadium to you and I, and it's not the home of the Miami Dolphins. This weekend, it is the home of round 4 of the World Championship in 2026. Welcome back to Formula One, and welcome to our sprint race. 19 laps to come around this 3.36-mile track. Just a slight elevation as we go up and under the bridge and the flyover at turn 16. Active aero, 3 straights for the drag to be reduced. Overtake modes is a new for 2026 feature. At 1 detection spot, and you can get an extra energy boost if you're within 1 second of the car in front. It's all peace and quiet down by the seaside. It is all hurly-burly. The Martins find themselves right at the back. Arvid Lindblad, sadly for him, starts from the pit lane after a breach of the Parc Ferme regulations. Valtteri Bottas starts 19th for the Cadillac team, and ahead of him on the grid, well, it's Alex Albon in 18th after getting his lap time deleted for exceeding track limits, and then Sergio Perez, the lead Cadillac, in 17th. Esteban Ocon 16th, and Liam Lawson starts 15th. Racing Bulls are out in Q1 for the first time this season. Carlos Sainz 14th. Ollie Behrman will start 13th. It's the first time he's got to the second part of qualifying qualifying in Miami. Nico Hülkenberg should line up 12, but his engine has failed. 3 out of 5 races Audi have had a car that haven't started this year. Gasly 10th, beaten by his teammate in qualifying for the first time this year. Hadjar is 9th. Colapinto starts 8th, and Lewis Hamilton, for the second year in a row here in the sprint, is 7th on the grid. George Russell hasn't been within half a second of the fastest lap all weekend. He's 6th. Max Verstappen, best quali in the last 4 sprint races, is 5th. Charles Leclerc didn't make it to the grid last year for the sprint. He's 4th. Oscar Piastri is 3rd. First time this season, 2 McLarens in the top 3. Antonelli's on the front row for the second year running, and Lando Norris is on pole position for the 5th time in a sprint race. He's got some fast starting cars behind him, but Martin Brundley's got some upgrades on his McLaren that are working well.
They very much are, yes. The McLaren once again showing that it knows how to make an upgrade, get it on the car and perform as expected. Ferrari have almost got a brand new car here as well, so Mercedes have got a challenge on their hands until they bring some new parts for Canada. This is going to be very close, and it's hot out there, track temperature over 53 degrees, and it'll be quite difficult to keep these tyres alive for the what is quite a short race.
At the moment, there looks to be a really nice gap for Charles Leclerc to drive through there, but I'm sure that's going to be blocked off when the lights go out. The 2 McLarens, Kimi Antonelli, need to be aware of those fast-starting Ferraris, even though there is, just 190 metres down into turn 1.
But the McLarens have had some pretty handy starts as well into the start of the season. It's Mercedes and particularly Antonelli that really struggled, but you have to assume that the month that we had off, unexpectedly, they'll have done 1,000 practice starts on the simulator, each and every one of them.
You would certainly imagine so. Disappointment then for Nico Hülkenberg. Big engine failure for him. Lots of smoke, flames as well, down into turn 17. The race is on an Audi.
My stomach, and well, he was right to do that, it seems, with one of the cars not making the grid.
Here's interesting. Medium all the way down to Esteban Ocon. The 2 Cadillacs have gone for the hard tyre, the 2 Aston Martins for the soft tyre. Protecting your rear tyres against degradation in this heat could be the key to this race today.
Absolutely. I'm assuming Aston Martin think there's nothing really to be gained in this race, so let's save the harder compound, more raceable tyres for tomorrow. But they continue to be in a very difficult place, Aston Martin. They've got neither speed nor reliability, and it's going to be quite a while before they can sort that out. I do believe, though, they've got Alpine going well, again with the Mercedes power unit, looking very much top 10 contenders here this weekend. But let's see how they use their power. It certainly looks like they've smoothed it out quite a bit, doesn't it? But this is quite a good energy circuit for these latest power units anyway. So in terms of filling the battery up, not as difficult as some circuits, but we'll see them coming out turn 16 at the back end, the far end of that straight there, with all of them with full batteries.
And talking of battery power, that might just change the tactics slightly. We were watching the back straight into turn 17, which used to be a very good place to get some overtakes done. That might not be the place this year, because if you use too much boost energy to overtake into turn 17, you are very vulnerable all the way through to turn 1.
I haven't seen Lando Norris this year yet without a smile on his face. He is so relaxed, he is so happy, and so comfortable in his own skin, in his own racing overalls, in his own McLaren. And he knows what to do. So let's see. As you say, it is a short run down to turn 1, but like we have at Spa, what that means is they're all in pretty close company when they get there.
Well, if there's anywhere that Lando Norris should be relaxed, it should be Miami, of course. His maiden win here in the Grand Prix in 2024, and he won the sprint from 3rd on the grid last year here.
Apologies for my voice. I sat next to a man who was coughing and spluttering for 9 hours on the way to Miami, and then the air conditioning finished me off.
You're doing well so far, MB. Don't worry. 19 laps. You can do this. You've got the stamina from this. Just think back to your years in sports cars. You'll be fine. Don't worry. Right, Kimi Antonelli, I think, is pointing a little bit towards the left here to try and cover off maybe a potential charge from Charles Leclerc behind him. And they're been on the grid for a while, the 20 cars. No Nico Hülkenberg, Arvid Lindblad in the pit lane.
Great starts are mostly in your head, in my experience.
And you've got to react to the lights as we now start the pre-starting procedure. Let the revs build up. And now we've got the 5 lights, the sprint in Miami to come. 19 laps. It's lights out and away we go. And this time, Charles Leclerc getting a better start against Kimi Antonelli, who's getting bogged down once again. Into the first corner, Lando Norris leads from Oscar Piastri. Then Charles Leclerc, George Russell is now going wheel to wheel with Kimi Antonelli, who gets past him. And there is Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton having a great old scrap going through turn 1. Antonelli, poor start. Russell nearly had him. He managed to stay ahead.
Yeah, Russell was very tight on the inside the dirty line, and Antonelli just kept it pinned around the outside and reclaimed the place between the two Mercedes. But once again then, the teenager not getting off the line cleanly.
It's been a feature in every race so far this season, and he's dropped down places for Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. Perfect start, and then comes Charles Leclerc, then Antonelli now trying to get back with Charles Leclerc. Colapinto's been passed by Gasly, and now going into turn 11, Leclerc under pressure from Antonelli, managing to stay ahead.
Yeah, Antonelli at tremendous speed down the back straight, and Leclerc will be desperate to build a bit of a gap while he's got chance through this really tight part of the racetrack before they let it go. Down the back straight, 203rd West Street this is normally. Now it is the back straight.
All right, who's going west and who's keeping straight north? And we watch the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc ahead of Kimi Antonelli into that heavy braking zone. The overtake mode is enabled, so that detection point is coming up too. Colapinto has a look at Gasly. Meanwhile, behind there's Liam Lawson, and behind him Carlos Sainz swamping the Cadillac of Valtteri Bottas. Sergio Perez. Alex Albon is ahead of Valtteri Bottas. We're on lap 2 with the leaders, though. Norris, Piastri, Leclerc, Antonelli and Russell out in front. Then comes Hamilton ahead of Max Verstappen.
Overtake enabled, but they won't get to the detection line until...
There goes Antonelli. Sorry, Martin, just to kick in. He almost spied a gap.
Grab, doesn't it? Yeah, so they won't get to the detection point for overtake until they come out of turn 17 at the end of the back straight. Then they get it for the whole lap. That means they can charge the battery more and keep a higher top speed. So it's well worth having. And Antonelli then up the inside, but not brave enough on the brakes, and he just about keeps the car in play.
Yeah, the thing is, he's gone deep there, and that has now allowed George Russell to gain a couple of car lengths on his teammate. He's got to be a bit careful, the young Italian.
Kimi is so bad on watchalong. He moves at the braking, it's unbelievable. We're going to crash.
Well, Charles Leclerc is getting a little bit worried. He didn't need to worry too much for the time being, because Antonelli has lost lots of car lengths behind him with that move down towards turn 11. George Russell has a little look on his teammate, nothing doing there to try and get past.
Still weird to see that Ferrari rear wing somersault its way back into place.
Sainz ahead now of the Cadillac of Sergio Perez, who gets past Liam Lawson, who's struggling a bit out there. That was vintage Sergio Perez down into turn 17. Cadillac making up a place. Lawson's under pressure from Alex Albon now behind him, and it's a terrific little scrap down in 15th place currently for Perez, 14th for Sainz, and Lawson really struggling out there.
Yeah, you can see them really struggling with traction, the rear wheels spinning up, coming out of the hairpin. And already then, I think the rear tyres are getting tortured, especially if you're in a fight. Everything gets, your caution goes away, you just have to start attacking, and then your tyres start squealing, and that's enough.
We're on board with the fastest man on the track at the moment. That's Lewis Hamilton. Maybe that 180 wing that you were talking about, Martin. First time we've seen that in a race this last season is paying dividends and reducing a little bit more drag. It certainly helped Hamilton in that battle with Max Verstappen. He's ahead of him and now gaining on George Russell about 0.4 of a second.
Doesn't appear to be shaping up, so they're going to have a rethink on that and have a look where else they might be able to deploy battery, boost and overtake, because we're not seeing any sort of wheel-to-wheel action into one at the moment.
That's very true. Lawson has Valtteri Bottas behind him now because Alex Albon has managed to pass him, and the two Aston Martins are right behind Valtteri Bottas, bringing up the rear. Arvid Lindblad looks to have retired from this race. We haven't seen him feature at all. He was due to start from the pit lane, but he's out. Hulkenberg is out too. 20 still left going. And for Lando Norris, first time he's led a race since Qatar last November, out in front and looking very comfortable. We can pick up Isaac Hadjar as he tries to gain on Gabriel Bortoleto to get back into the top 10.
And importantly, Norris then 1.5 seconds clear at the front, and that means Piastri's not getting the extra overtake harvest of battery power and boost.
The McLarens, though, have a very decent pace in these early stages, ahead of the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, who, had his mirrors full of Kimi Antonelli for a while, but isn't making that impression. He's losing a couple of tenths to Piastri on the last lap, 6 tenths to Lando Norris. Hadjar taking a very tight line through the long right-hander and now onto the chicane. While he does that, the leader, Lando Norris, is halfway down the back straight. It all goes quiet, doesn't it? There until the cars get to turn 17 and we can hear the engine noise once more. And once more, Kimi Antonelli has a little look at Charles Leclerc, and he needs to be making up places. He's lost positions today at the start. He's done it in every single race in 2026.
5.6 seconds covers the top 7 at the moment. They're going to be a little bit nervous in this sprint race. Qualifying comes up this afternoon. You can't afford to smash your car up, and the race could well be brought forward for tomorrow due to rain, couldn't it? So they're going to have to be a little bit careful. That is how bad it looked. And somehow he gets back around the outside of George Russell, because Russell was a sort of a clear car length ahead, wasn't he?
Just managed to get that extra speed while Russell's taking the tighter line. We've got a better view of it here. Charles Leclerc, it was a good start from Charles Leclerc, but he gets bogged down, and now a bit later onto the brakes. Look at Lewis Hamilton around the outside and Max Verstappen as well, almost making that move stick before Verstappen squeezes through. And that's brilliant. That's a brilliant scrap between Verstappen and Hamilton there.
Yeah, we've seen that before, haven't we? But somehow, of course, Hamilton passed him somewhere.
Got him a little bit later on. I think Max got a bit bogged down at the start there.
He did. George Russell will be very annoyed that he didn't make it. Oh, there was like a real sandwich there, Red Bull sandwich, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And Max, quick look in the mirror, always like Fernando Alonso, very aware of what's going on around him. So Lewis gets a good start, flicks left, that's nice. And then just watches for the Mercedes that they don't contact.
Yeah,
that's sort of braille racing, isn't it, that one?
Rubbing is racing, I think they call it in this part of the world, Martin. There was a lot of wheel rubbing going on between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, but banging, not a problem at all, and they were trying to avoid each other as Max Verstappen now in 7th place ahead of
but they've certainly got a fast race car. Max Verstappen talking about his rear axle. That's his rear tyres, of course, basically under heavy brake. Suspension control and of the rear tyres of the car.
Dare say George Russell would rather like his teammate, sliding through there, the Mercedes, to get a bit closer to Charles Leclerc here, because I'm not saying Kimi Antonelli's holding him up, but I think if he extends his pace, George might be able to extend his pace a little bit more too, and that might protect him a tad against Lewis Hamilton. The one who has got the pace out in front, Lando Norris, looking very cool. Is this George Russell making a move into turn 17? Looks like it, doesn't it? Decided, I can't wait any longer here. Lewis is catching me. I need to get an overtake done, and he does. Russell up into fourth place, but I said if you go into turn 17 and do an overtake, you might be vulnerable into turn 1, and that is what George Russell's looking at the moment, but he's just got enough juice in the battery and in the tank to stay ahead.
Yeah, he placed the car well, did George, so now he's out front. Now he's got some clear air. He ought to be able to just gap his teammate a little bit. Antonelli getting a wild sort of rear wheel slide coming out of that 17 just after he'd been overtaken, which won't have done the surface temperature of his rear tyres much good. But can George Russell now start to gap him? And the answer looks like yes.
Antonelli last year, pole sitter for the sprint here in Miami, finished 7th in the end. He started on the front row today, and he's now down into 5th. Verstappen's coming back at Lewis Hamilton, and there is Antonelli ahead of George Russell, and Verstappen squeezing down the inside on Lewis Hamilton, and they both go off the track.
Yeah, Lewis will be on the radio saying he forced me off the road, and he went off the road as well. He should give the place back, and that's what's going to be going on now on the pit wall. And
we might have said that before as well.
Yes, up to race control. Max did not stay within the track limits.
Max overtook me.
George Russell, and Lewis Hamilton, I think, is allowed to go past by Max.
He was being given a place there, and this is where Antonelli then steamed back around the outside and into turn 11. We were so busy watching Verstappen and Hamilton squabbling off the racetrack there. So back comes Antonelli, and through goes Hamilton, I believe you would say.
Excellent. I think what's happened there, as Karun was saying at race control, Bono's giving Kimi a bit of coaching on where to deploy and when not to, and maybe he said, right, look, if George does go for you at turn 17, don't worry, you'll have a bit more battery to deploy later on, and we'll get him at turn 11. Yeah,
I was just about to say George will be a lot happier with all of this, because he's not been within half a second of the fastest lap all through this event so far. And suddenly it looked like his car, and it seems to me his setup looks like it's a little bit kinder on the tyres as well. We're not at halfway point yet through this sprint. So I expect that Mercedes battle to come back together again.
Yeah, if George has gone for a benign setup that just keeps those rear tyres a little bit cooler, watch him in the closing stages here as Lawson gets past Perez on the hard tyre, the Cadillacs, and up into 16th. And the two Aston Martins ahead of the other Cadillac of Bottas. And here goes Max Verstappen down the inside at turn 17 and repasses Lewis Hamilton, but this time it's on the track. So he's not going to have to give the place back. Lewis has got to try and earn it. And can he earn it? On the run now, down towards turn 1. The rear wings opening up the big gaps with the active aero. Verstappen stays ahead.
None bigger than that Red Bull.
Oh, yeah.
Extraordinary how wide that opens up, like a big sort of shark coming into eat you, that one. But yeah, Max seemed a lot happier with this guy. He says, I think we've halved the deficit that we had, and I think the car's starting to do what he expects it to do next. That's the important thing.
Yeah, it might not have the pace that he wants, but it's behaving.
I think he's starting to trust the car now, and that's then you could find even more time yourself. Then you find even more time because you're not hurting your tyres quite so much. So Red Bull easing themselves sort of back into the fray.
on board with George Russell and Lewis Hamilton currently. These are the two closest battles in the top 7. Russell chasing down his teammate and the man he trails in the World Championship. And any kind of swing in that will certainly help George's mood going into Grand Prix qualifying and the Grand Prix tomorrow. As for Lewis Hamilton, well, he's got Max, his old adversary, ahead of him. Can he get past?
Looked very loose, the back end sliding around for Lewis. Looks like his tyres are overheating. Ted's got news for us down in the pit lane.
Just looking down at the pit walls, Ferrari look like they're sort of stuck in position, really. That gap that Leclerc has got to Piastri, just enough to hurt the tyres, whereas Norris and Piastri just controlling it. We've got a replay here, Crofty. Take it away.
Esteban Ocon in the Haas, losing part of his car through no fault of his own. It just flew off in the wind, probably more the force.
Looked like a bit of the barge board.
Is it from Behrman? Or did Behrman actually need to collect the barge board?
We did collect it. I think we're going to have to get a safety car. They're going to have to clear that away, although it's now off the racing line critically. So that contact might have actually saved us having to put a safety car out, because that's quite a big piece. You cannot have that coming at drivers or flying over the fence towards spectators or marshals.
Very true, Ted. Back down to you, mate.
Well, we'll see. I was going to say that McLaren got this completely under control, but a safety car would mean they would all have to pit, probably onto a soft tyre, just to defend from anyone who did take a cheap pit stop. I'll let you know if we see any action there.
Thank you very much. Action out in front. Lando Norris going faster and lapping in the 131s currently and extending his advantage over Oscar Piastri. The two McLarens are looking pretty good so far. Leclerc within a second, though, of Oscar Piastri. We're on board with Esteban Ocon. His teammate is the car ahead of him. Maybe it's a bit lighter now that barge board's come off, and that will help him a touch, but it won't certainly help with the airflow. And he's got the two Williams very much in keeping him company. Sainz and Albon in 14th and 15th.
Go to Ayo Komatsu, the boss of team principal at Haas, said, what's going on? And so Antonelli now with a warning for track limits. Karim mentioned that earlier on. He said our upgrades didn't look like they were going to be good enough to make a difference, and we expected to struggle here a little bit as well. So you've got two Haas there and then two Williams in close formation. Bit of a Noah's Ark going on there at the back of the field.
Quite. Alex Albon trying to find a way past. Nothing doing there. So 3 strikes with track limits. You get a black and white flag. After that, you get a penalty. Here comes Alex Albon into the braking zone of turn 1. Nothing doing in terms of a pass on Carlos Sainz. It's a bit bumpy going into there. Not the easiest place to overtake, but you can get a move to stick. Charles Leclerc is within 1 second now of Oscar Piastri. Has been gaining on him a touch. We can pick him up as he makes his way through turn 12 and 13. You can see the McLaren car ahead of him. Zach Brown, CEO from McLaren, is watching on from the pit wall, and whilst Lando's got this under control, it seems, I think Oscar is about to be joined by a Ferrari, Zach. Is that fair?
Lando's controlling well. Oscar's under some pressure. Let's see. A little bit of racing coming.
Any feedback from the drivers? I'm imagining they're not chatting away too much, are they?
No, all pretty quiet. I think Lando's very comfortable. I think Oscar's struggling a little bit with grip, so I think he's going to have some work ahead of here for the next 5-6 laps.
And how are those rear tyres? Are they keeping cool enough?
I think we'd like them a little bit cooler if we can, so struggling a bit with those, but seems to be a little bit more on Oscar's car than Lando.
Thanks ever so much, Zach. We'll be back with you for qualifying later on. 3 seconds, the gap between Norris and Piastri. 3/10, the gap between Sainz and Behrman down towards turn 17. Is there room for Carlos Sainz to go around the outside? He thought so. There just wasn't enough straight still left for him to make that move stick. But on the run now down towards turn 1, Sainz has got very much Ollie Behrman in his sights even. Nothing doing, though, in terms of a pass into that first corner.
Yeah, Sainz obviously knew he could trust Behrman in that situation. You soon learn which drivers you can and can't trust.
This will be good for Williams,
I raced against, but there was some that you got very nervous when you were around.
This will be good for Williams, though, that the fact they're actually managing to race against the likes of Haas. They've shaved a little bit of weight off that car, and it looks a bit more competitive in this trim. Ted, down to you.
Well, it's not great because they're readying one of their cars for a nose change. So either it's because they hit that debris from the Haas, or they've hit each other, Sainz and Albon. So they're ready. Can't see either of them in yet. There you go, you can see it on your screen.
We certainly can. They're a fair way away from the pit lanes. That nose has come out early, and those mechanics have to hold it for a little bit longer than I'm sure they would really have wanted to. Under a second, the gap, Piastri to Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc, the lead Ferrari. Lewis Hamilton, after being passed by Max Verstappen, maybe is, as you say, Martin, struggling with those rears a touch, losing ground on him and not able to come back and put any pressure on the Red Bull.
This is interesting in a way. I mean, we've made some changes sort of by committee. Everybody's got an idea, but it looks like it's taken away some of their overtaking capacity with the new power units. Whether you thought that was artificial or not, entirely up to you. But what it has done on this track layout anyway, it's certainly taken away the big differences between cars at certain parts of the racetrack.
There's that nose change that Ted predicted. It's Alex Albon who's come into the pit lane. He will come out potentially ahead of Valtteri Bottas, but that nose change is taking a lot longer than you would expect. Bottas is a minute behind the race leader, Lando Norris, and Alex Albon will be
They load the surface of the tyres and they get the weight distribution where they need it in terms of when they're going over curbs and all that. And as soon as you're not confident, you start moving the steering wheel a lot.
Isaac Hadjar started 9th. He's chasing Franco Colapinto to get back up into 9th. He'll be one spot outside the points. But after dispatching Bortoletto a few laps ago, he's continuing to make progress through the field. This is turning into a very comfortable sprint race indeed for Lando Norris out in front. This has been a perfect afternoon. Well, out-qualified his teammate, reached the top 10 of the sprint for the first time since 2024 in Austin, so yeah.
I would say it's his most assured-looking performance, I think, as a Formula One driver, Franco Colapinto.
That is very true. I think he's got potential.
He had to do a correction in the middle there, then it just tightens, such a frustrating little left-hander turn 8. Then you arrest any slide on that curve and just pin the throttle, and the acceleration would be, or is, relentless. You get a little beep in your ear or whatever to tell you to shift gear, and off they go down the track. And you think, if I don't lift my foot off the throttle soon, I will take off.
It's a super circuit here, given the confines of what they had to play with, Herman Tilke and his team, when they came to design a track. I think
it's wrapped around a stadium, isn't it? The Hard Rock Stadium. It's extraordinary how they've made so many fast sections that are through the car parks of a stadium.
Often see a car getting past there, and Franco Colapinto now down in 10th place. Isaac Hadjar gets a decent exit out of turn 16. There goes that Red Bull Active Aero, the rear wing, opening up with a big enormous gap that Ted says he can get his head through. And onwards down the straight, little charge, you can see. Very difficult when the two cars have got full batteries going down that back straight. Very difficult for the car behind to have any influence in terms of a boost to make it overtake stick. He's going to put a smile on Oscar Piastri's face. Charles Leclerc going too deep at turn 11, and that might just have cost him any chance of getting second place here.
He'd have picked up a load of rubbish on his tyres. There'll be half a dozen corners cleaning that up, will Charles Leclerc. Kept it in play, hasn't he? But again, it's running wide.
Over Kimi Antonelli, so he might as well try something. It shouldn't cost him a place in that respect, but it really didn't come off Oscar Piastri. What a record this year. When he starts a race, he finishes Lando Norris is going through turn 9 currently.
Enjoying himself as much as anything. He knows he can discard these tyres in about half a lap's time, just dancing it through the chicane into the tight 16. Do not hit the wall there. And basically, he's got one decision to make: where to brake at 17. A swing of the steering wheel he could do in his sleep, and then